So, hello again, guys. So, I thought for one of the first videos that wasn't the introduction, I would revisit the first ever Baggers Top 5 I did. So, looking at my notes, 15th of July 2016 was the year of my first Baggers Top 5. So, in context, the reason I did this said Baggers Top 5 was Star Trek Beyond was coming out that summer. It was, I think, the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. So there was a lot going on. So I thought, as a bit of fun, I'll do a top 5 list because just the way I roll. So on the original list in 2016, my top 5 Star Trek characters of all time was number 5, O'Brien. Number 4 was Data. Number 3 was Bones. Number 2 was Riker. My honourable mentions were Wesley, Barclay, Bashir, Cisco, Dax, Garak, Tom Paris, and the Doctor. Not to confuse with Doctor Who, the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager. And then number 1, Kirk. So now, fast forward to 2020, with my revisited list, I've been looking, and a lot has changed. Couple at the lower, as in the top part, hasn't changed much. But now, top 5, having a think, Bones is number 5 now. Like, he's come up the list. So he was 3 in 2016, now he's 5. It's because I think in lockdown I was revisiting Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I love Deep Space Nine, but I think the last time I properly watched it all the way through was when it first came out. So I watched reruns, I've watched Sky One when it was on. So in lockdown, we was all going through it, basically bored off our tits. And so I thought, rewatched. Netflix had it on, so I rewatched all the seasons. And that's why I think the ranking has pretty much changed, because number 4 is Cisco, which I know on most people's list, people are going to go, Cisco's 4. But the reason he's now in my list when it wasn't is I think if this was a top 5 ranking of captains, it'd be higher on the list. Where as characters, I love Cisco. He's the emissary. He's, he's mixing sci-fi, science and religion together in a Star Trek universe, which Gene Roddenberry is highly against. Me, as an atheist, religion, I don't really get it. I understand why people like it. Personally, it's not for me. Where with Deep Space Nine, Cisco was the right balance to show that how it works in a future setting. So that's why he's number 4. Bones, as I said, number 5. He's a great character. He's just the most sarcastic, wittiest guy. He's just Bones, isn't he? So, but the reason he's now lower in the list than he was in 2016 is now because I've revisited Deep Space Nine. So number 3 is O'Brien. O'Brien has now jumped down, where originally in 2016 O'Brien was 5th. Now he's 3rd. Again, rewatching it, I've got to that certain age where I understand him more now, where he's married man, middle-aged, just the everyday man. He's just he's not probably as charming as or suave as, say, Riker. He's not a ladies' man, like Kirk. He's not probably the most diplomatic like Picard. He's the everyday man in Star Trek universe. He's not as Barclay, where Barclay was the everyday man that has social anxiety, which you watch Star Trek, everyone's confident, everyone's this, but where that originally showed what a lower deck version of a character would be, where O'Brien's the more confident, but he's the everyday man. He's the guy you can go and have a beer with. He's, your best mate at work. He's high on the list as well, because the shit he's gone through, the O'Brien must suffer episodes alone just prove what an amazing character he is, showing mental health, that episode where he's in the prison, which wasn't real, and he lived, 30, 40 years, showing that even in the future, mental health, depression, suicide is still rampant, but the idea that he has friends, he has family that will bring him back, and that O'Brien is the best character. That if you did it with anyone else, it probably wouldn't have worked. O'Brien is this core character where he would be number one on my list if it wasn't for number two, number one, because those characters I'm going to get to in a bit are definitive characters and also characters in my childhood that I grew up with and idolised. You probably can guess by the beard who the next one is, and also from my 2016 list, not much has changed. So going on to number two, talking about beards, Riker. Riker's number two. He hasn't changed since 2016. He probably will never change. He will always be top tier for me. Like the character alone, he's just, as a kid growing up, he was just everything. He was confident, he was suave, he was well spoken. He was cocky in the right way. He was funny. He's just Riker, and he will never change on my list. He's just a character that he just works. He was like Kirk was in the original series, where Next Generation needed someone like that, but he's not full on like Kirk, where I love Kirk. Kirk, spoiler alert, is number one. He hasn't changed in 2016. Again, like Riker, will never change. But again, it's the elements of Riker's more human, as in like he's able to have proper relationship. Look at him with Deanna Troi. Later they marry. They've now in the Picard series they've had kids. Now Sally only got one, but he's like the Riker mold, where the O'Brien mold I should say, but where O'Brien's the everyday married man. Riker's the more, the cool friend you have at work, so then number one, as always, will be Kirk. He's the definitive character. I got into Star Trek because my mum, as I said, with the Cage. So Pike was my first captain I ever saw. I did idolise him growing up, but then when I met Kirk, it's a different kind of captain, where Pike is more Picard's mould, where he's diplomatic, he's cool-headed. Yeah, he lost his temper in the Cage, but that's because of the tragedy that happened before. But like watching Strange New Worlds, he's more like a Picard mould in that TNG, the original series era, where Kirk is the swashbuckler, is, the SWAT is like, you have those, I don't know if your mum had these books, the Mills and Boons, the topless guy with the big hair and stuff, where the Lothario, I think it's called, where Kirk was that. He's the ladies' man. He was, he's just Kirk, isn't he? But from the TV shows and then the films, like Wrath of Khan is my definitive Star Trek film. It is probably my favourite film of all time. I will always revisit it. Kirk is Kirk. He never backs down, he doesn't believe in the no-win situation. He will cheat if he has to, but he will do whatever he can to save his friends, his crew, his ship. He doesn't like to lose. And that's a strong, powerful character. He is in the mould of a superhero in Star Trek, where, again, as I said, O'Brien's the everyday man. You got Riker that's in the middle, where he is almost like an action hero, but again, he's more everyday, where Kirk is a superhero. Compared to the other captains, I know there's always a ranking. Picard's always higher, maybe Cisco for me personally. He's probably my definitive captain, but Kirk is my original role model. It's the reason that I think of Star Trek, I think of Kirk. I know this original series, people think of Spock, how even the Enterprise is a character in itself, but Kirk to me is Star Trek. Anytime I think of Star Trek, it's Kirk. And William Shatner's version, hands down, is the definitive. Yeah, you've got like the new one in Strange New Worlds. You've got, Chris Pine is an amazing new Calvin Universe Kirk, but you can never replace William Shatner's James T. Kirk in the original series. He is an icon, role model, and that's why he's number one on the list. So yeah, so that was the original top 5 back in the day. And so I think every couple of videos now, probably work my way up, see every year, because I think there's about, I want to say 80, 90 over the years. It has taken off a mind of its own. It was originally just something as a bit of fun for the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and next thing you know, I'm doing top 5s for everything. In lockdown, it was probably keeping me sane. When I made Geekple, it's a bit of fun, but again, it keeps me focused, because we all have down days, but it's nice to have like a buffer, you know what I mean? Like something to keep your mind active. So yeah, so just keep an eye out for the next top 5. As I said, it won't just be top 5s on this YouTube channel. There'll be rants, probably fan theories, everything even buts, but even news, whatever me and Colin feel that can't fit on the podcast will be on the YouTube channel. So yeah, guys, I'm hoping there wasn't too much rambling. This is one of the first videos, so I will learn probably to cut the chaff, so to speak. But yeah, just let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, ring that little diggy ding ding, and just let your friends know and help the channel grow. And follow us on Spotify if you're not already, and Instagram. And see you soon. Bye.